Well, I've worked with a lot of cinematographers. I'm not particularly obsessive about the photography. I mean, I know what I like and I know what I want, but I don't know how to get it. So I'm not someone who could light a scene. If the cameraman threw his hand up in and said, "Well, you light the fucking thing," or something like that, I don't think I could do that. You know, my energies goes more into the story and into the performances. And you know, once I'm, you know, on the same page as the cinematographer, and vice versa, I tend to leave them to it. You know, obviously we talk about how to shoot it. I mean, how to, you know, the camera movements and stuff like that. But in terms of actually setting the light, once we have a good relationship, I let them get on with it. Well, I mean, they're planned beforehand, but also they're planned on the spot, and often, you know, you have to improvise if you're doing exteriors or stuff like that. You know, you've got to roll with the punches. So, you know, I'm very interested in staging scenes and how to shoot them, the camera movement and all that. I'm very possessive about that because I like to use a lot of space for scenes, and I like actors' scenes, especially in dialogue scenes when you can move actors around. It makes it more interesting to shoot, and more interesting to watch, and more interesting to edit, rather than just, you know, like that. So I really, when I'm saying I kind of leave it to them, it's more, you know, the lighting of it that I leave to them. I don't leave the kind of shooting style to them, or the way I like to cover stuff. You know, the number of shots I want to do and how I like to keep breaking the rhythm. So if I do a scene which has got a lot of cuts in it, you know, then I'm likely to try and, in the next scene, do a scene with very little cuts in it. So, you know, you don't lull, you're always, as it were, surprising the audience. It affects it enormously because I approach every film I do in my soul as a documentary. Even when I did the James Bond film, which, you know, the MacGuffin in that was taking gas out of the Caspian. And so I went down there, I insisted we went down there and had a look at how it was all set out and all that. And I shot some of it down there in Azerbaijan, but, you know, it gave us ideas for how to create sets and all this sort of stuff. I always prefer to work from the reality. And against that, for example, when I did Gorky Park, one of the first sort of Western films supposedly shot in Russia, but they wouldn't let us in. They let me in to do a bit of research, and then they threw us out, saying crime doesn't happen in Moscow, you can't make this film. But I felt a bit at a loss because I hadn't seen what the real life of, you know, a Russian cop would be like, and I missed that reference. You know, so everything I do is always visually researched, and not necessarily through books. But, you know, going to places and meeting people who, you know, on whom the story is vaguely based.